Evening, everybody. Welcome to another Arcadia Roundtable, where it's just the two of us for this week. You got me and you got Luke. Luke, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
Oh, I'm awesome. I'm doing really good. It's been the best week I can remember for a while, and they're only going to get better from here. So, yeah, happy days. Thank you, everybody that's coming along to listen to us waffle about games and all the stuff that we do. It's probably going to be relatively short today because Luke is a man of few words, as he's just witnessed from his intro. I'm not the most talkative, so we're going to bash through the topics, get to some questions, and hopefully everyone will have a nice time. Luke, what have you been playing?
I finished Expedition 33 a week ago, ish, something like that. So mainly that, and then I moved on to Doom as well, which is kind of the main thing I've picked up now. I don't think I'm playing anything else from it. Well, we played some Rematch, as you know. I played some Rematch.
Oh, we're going to talk about that and upset some people.
Well, you might.
Yeah.
So just those really. But the main thing at the minute is Doom, having finished Expedition 33.
That's good, because I want to talk about all three of those. So let's do that. Let's talk about all three of those. We're going to start with Expedition 33. Did it hold up right through to the end? Do you love it post-completion?
Yeah, I absolutely love that game. I'm quite surprised how much I enjoyed it, actually. If only because, when it was revealed, I think it looked fantastic. Everybody was kind of very hyped for it upon initial reveal, and there were, like a lot of question marks about it in terms of, well, what would the scope be like? It's a small team, it's their first proper game. Would it run well? How is the combat system, and like all of these little things. And then I think you sort of play the game, and within about, for me, kind of 6 or 7 hours in, I'd say, I kind of got this feeling of, oh, okay, this is actually very good. Like, I'm feeling that this is really good. And it's sort of, it's a really interesting game because it's split into acts, which you might have seen. And there's 3 acts and then an epilogue. Kind of it ramps up for Act 1, and then it really takes off after Act 1 into Act 2 and 3 and so on. And it just reminded me of the feeling I got when I would play like classic Final Fantasy games, basically, that kind of really sweeping, majestic like story that has a lot of twists and turns and some very unexpected things, and that you start to gel with the combat system even more, and it's just I think it's a really special game, and I think, there's a lot of really big games coming out this year. There's maybe 1 or 2 that I would say, if they hit, they would be.
Oh, sharp about Death Stranding already, non-stop. Death Stranding this, Death Stranding that.
That's one of them. But I think like this is a very clear game of the year for me so far, and I would be somewhat surprised, not impossible, if something usurped it, because I think it's that good. It's an astonishingly good game.
Oh, so you're actually holding it up there. You're not thinking that actually Death Stranding 2 will blow it away in your own mind?
No, I think to blow it away, you'd be like Death Stranding 2 would have to be so special, kind of a once in a couple of generation game to blow Expedition 33 away. That's how highly I regard Expedition 33. I think it's just, I think that going into that game, my concern was actually around story, because even though the story, the premise of the story was really cool with the painteress and all that sort of stuff, you just never know how that's going to land. And like a Final Fantasy game, right? Well, at least for me, especially the later Final Fantasies, the story is so fundamental to my enjoyment of those games. When you start to get into 6 and 7 and 8 and so on and so forth. And I was worried that if that element didn't hit, would the rest of the game kind of hold itself up well enough to be, to make it a really good game? thankfully, at least to me, I think the story is probably one of the best RPG stories ever told. So in gaming, like I think it's just brilliant. It's just absolutely brilliant. So when you combine that with like the combat system, which is really easy to pick up, more difficult to master, tons of permutations about how you do, like what you can do in terms of build crafting and stuff, and it's just really fun. And then they've got this amazing world, amazing music, great visuals. Runs like a dream on PC at least. It's really just blown me away. It's just absolutely like genuinely blown me away. I just think it's astonishing.
So when I was asking about Death Stranding, like if it was me saying that this one's game of the year ahead of the launch of Death Stranding 2, that would mean absolutely nothing. But I know how you, like the regard that you hold that game in. So it's not a trivial statement that you're holding this one up there in the way that you are. I'm definitely going to need to smash through it soon, and I'm absolutely with you on the need for a good story to carry these games through. The turn-based games. Yeah. I like turn-based combat, but it doesn't hold up as a standalone mechanic, which is kind of why I've never bothered with the Pokemon games.
Yeah.
I need that story to drive it through, and this sounds like it wins.
Yeah, it does. The good thing about it as well is I think like if you're doing some of the side stuff and then doing the main stuff as well, like kind of a mix of some side stuff, but not all of it. It's like a 30-hour game, and that's kind of like the perfect. It's not. And I love Rebirth, but it's not like 80 hours of Rebirth where actually there's a ton of stuff that could be stripped away from that to make it a leaner experience. It's lean with lots of stuff on the side if you want to go and do it. I think if you wanted to do everything, it might be 60 hours. So it's just the right amount of like meat in the game. I found like you could see where the limitations of the devs scope is in terms of they just they didn't chuck the world full of padding stuff to do. It's all quite meaningful, but and there is stuff to do, but they really wanted to be the story to be the driver of the game, like the main quest. So they achieved that really well. It's got great voice acting as well, which I think is a thing that people have picked up on. But it's it's just really good, man.
Awesome. Speaking of phenomenal storytelling, let's talk about Doom: The Dark Ages.
No, I don't want to.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I don't want to talk about Zoom, but I don't know if I want to talk about the
you don't have to talk about the story. That was an awkward segue. The story. I've finished Doom: The Dark Ages and found the story fairly abominable. but that aside, let's talk about Doom: The Dark Ages.
Yeah. I think I'm in chapter 12. I've just got to. Might be chapter 12.
Good ones.
So it's been a really interesting experience actually. I found because the first sort of, and I said this on the Discord, like the first maybe 4 or 5 chapters, I was kind of like, oh, I'm a bit down on this. Like it wasn't really clicking with me, and I can't describe why. It's just a feeling. I think some of the combat areas weren't particularly great, and the kind of the combat loop just wasn't really it just wasn't really getting me. And then I think combined with the story, which is like, it's not, I wouldn't say it's abominable.
It is abominable.
It's just like it's kind of just a bit of like, medieval sci-fi sloppy stuff, right? Like very rote storytelling. The cinematography is really nice in the cutscenes, but apart from that, it's kind of just like but when you combine all those things, I was kind of like, okay, this it's a beautiful game and it's great to look at, but the other stuff is just not grabbing me. And then you get to the siege level, which I think is 6 or 7, and suddenly, at least to me, it was like, oh, this is really good. Like this level has like elevated this massively. That's like the first more open level where there are kind of multiple things you can go and explore and do, and there's like several main objectives, but you can do what you want. And I didn't think that those levels would be the ones that would drag me in, because you think about that with Doom, it's not really something you would think would be very successful, but it is, at least in those levels. And from there, actually, it's kind of gone like this. Like my experience of it, it's like, oh, this is really good. And then it's almost as if like just suddenly the level design becomes really good, especially when you get to like, I don't think this is a spoiler to say that part of this is in hell, right? So like, it's not a spoiler to say that in a Doom game. When you get to those areas, it really comes alive a bit more. And you by that point, you've got all your weapons pretty much. And the combat loop becomes much more engaging. You unlock kind of different abilities, and I'm like now I'm really clicking with it, like to the level that I clicked with 2016, but also Eternal, which I think is the best one. Obviously, people's views on that differ. But I don't know, how did you find it having finished it? Where do you have a ranking of the 3 games now? Like, where would
it's
you
actually
put this
really
on?
difficult now. I think
story aside.
Abominable Story aside, that's actually, it's difficult to place because I need to play it like harder. I need to try some Nightmare and really get a feel for it, because I didn't. I was very, very similar to you in that something in the combat just wasn't clicking for me at all for the first while. And I think, like, at least in the early stages, it kind of trivializes the gunplay. Doom's always been a twitch shooter, and you didn't need to twitch shoot because you got your shotgun that like manages to fill the entirety of the screen. You don't need any kind of accuracy with your twitching, and you don't have the verticality in the same way. And you've got your shield that like locks onto things basically. So you've got an auto aim option, and you can just blast around. And it's cool. The shield makes a good thunky sound. I like it well enough. You can move reasonably quickly, but the loop wasn't snagging properly, and I was just like, I like the other ones more. And then there's the level that you just talked about, but the ones that you've just done, when it goes orange is what I was saying. But yeah, when you go to hell, it's just, it comes alive for me at that point, and the combat starts to feel like it should. And I was really, really enjoying it. But the thing that constantly impresses me with it, I cannot get over how good the engine and the art is, both.
Like, it's incredible, isn't it? Yeah.
Technical level just delivers absolutely perfect on its frames and smoothness all the way, but it's you got these like thick plumes of smoke in the background and like particle effects everywhere. But it's not just the technical side, because, you know, I like to record my silly, I've got one behind me now actually, I like to record my silly backgrounds and things, and when I'm running around in that game, there are so many moments where you stop and just look at like the composition on the screen, like how well placed things are, and just go, wow. Like, it's moment after moment of, like, I don't want to say picturesque because that's not really the right term for hell, but it's like, it's a picturesque hell. And I'm so impressed by that element of it. Go on.
I got that earlier actually in the again, not a spoiler bit. You probably know the bit I'm talking about. It's in the first hell bit, and you come out and there's the fallen Atlan who's like in like the crest of a hill, and it's like there's an opening, and then there's like 3 mancubuses there or something, and then the Atlan behind, and I was just like, oh wow, this is like. It just something, as you say, something about the composition of coming out there is so unreal, like unbelievably impressive. And I actually went back. I was like, okay, I'm going to restart this bit because I wanted to turn the HUD off, because I was like, this game, like, kind of, you know, like it would be very difficult to generally play the game without the HUD off. But I always like to some games where their art and their visuals are so amazing, I like to turn those things off because I want to just be like, oh, what does it look like? And I was just like, wow, it's just like running about like wow, this is like actually, you know, the kind of level of detail of everything combined with how fluid the entire game runs. It's unreal. Like it's fantastic. Like it's really, 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 really impressive. So it's on a technical level, I think it's just a marvel, really.
Exactly. On a technical level, it's unreal, and it's not unreal. So
unreal.
It's an interesting thing. Gamzly with a super chat saying, "Hi, where is Gamzly? You're the only one that knows the answer to that question, Gamzly. Cleo may well know as well. He's sick today. He wants me to announce it to the world. He was supposed to be here But no, he's poorly Gamzly, so it's just the two of us. And I am drinking, bit daring on this one, squash. I have a big glass of squash. Oh. What about you, Luke?
I've got the skerrits of a Buxton sparkling water here, so that's what I'm drinking.
Fancy. Yeah.
It would be if I had. I've only got that much. I haven't got any.
Tell me more about Doom.
It's good, man. It's really good. The dragon levels are awful.
And the turrets and the Atlan. But the dragon in particular.
Yes. So the Atlan is... I've only done 2 of those levels. I don't think that's anywhere near as bad as the dragon stuff. It's not brilliant, but it's quite short-lived. You know, those segments compared to the dragon, at least the first dragon bit. The dragon bit's just not... I mean, conceptually, it's cool, and the flight controls are quite fun. Like, you know, that's cool. And it's a good showcase of the engine in terms of how wide they've been, you know, like how much have they been able to expand the world. Everything else about it is just crap. It's just like the combat on the dragon is not like, is awful. It kind of leans it basically, the combat in the dragon leans into the worst elements of the on-ground combat, which are kind of this like mix and match of like dodge and parry and stuff like that. And on the ground, it gets away with it because you've got like the flow of your shield and, you know, the shield saw element of that you can throw it. And then you've got whatever gun you've got and multiple enemies who react differently to different guns. So you've got all of this like stuff going on. But the dragon stuff is it's literally just sit there, wait for a green thing, dodge it, and then shoot over and over and over again. Yes, it's not good. I would advise that they don't do that next time and find a different way to break up, you know, segments, because it's just not fun at all.
I will say the other thing that I did like about it is I think across the 3 Doom games, this iteration has the best version of all the common enemies. I think they did a good job with, like, none of them are irritating in the way that Doom Eternal had a few that were like, you're a prick. This one's not like that. Some of them are a little bit like spam their green too much, a little bit of a rhythmic parry mode. But generally, the way that they move, the way that they interact, and the way that they have a presence on the battlefield is all a lot more accomplished than say the Marauder, for example, but also the slithery lizard ones and things like that. Yeah. So I'm liking it.
I agree.
You do end up very, very powerful as you go as well.
That's good, because you want that. I feel like the last few levels, you get that more of the power fantasy of being the Slayer. Like in Eternal, I remember feeling extremely powerful to begin with. But that, I mean, it makes sense that you wouldn't feel as powerful here because you're not, you know, Eternal's like the ultimate version of the Slayer, basically in the lore. Like he's maxed out.
There is no lore anymore after the story of this one.
Yeah,
forget about it.
I'll bear that in mind as I go through these cutscenes. I'm already, you know, a couple of things you unlock in the last few levels are really, really, really powerful. I'm looking forward to playing it more because I am really enjoying it at the moment.
Gamzly's in there with another super chat saying, is squash a soap? Can be, Gamzly, if you want to end up sticky. Wouldn't recommend it otherwise. So that's enough of Doom, I think, because I also want to get into a fisticuffs. We're going to have an argument about rematch. We're not going to have an argument. We're going to talk about rematch, because we played rematch in the open beta yesterday. We played it together for a little bit, but you've also put a lot more time into it than me ahead of that in the various stages of beta. You enjoy the game, yes?
Yeah, I do.
Even though it's not very good.
Even though it's not very good, I do enjoy it. It's an interesting game, isn't it? It's I think it's kind of like a lot of the mechanics in the game and a lot of the way that you move and that you interact with the football. like I think it's a deliberate design decision to like make all of that sometimes a little bit tricky. Like it's a little bit difficult. You're not very good at doing much stuff in the game. And I think, you know, if they made it just like the FIFA Pro Club, right, where you like
have you played
control
that?
one player. Yeah. I've played that quite a lot over time. And that's really fun, but it's really easy that in a way it's the like the art of like knowing where to pass and how to pass and to dribble and to control the ball. Like all of that is essentially automated. You know, it's a bit like auto aim, a lot of that stuff, a lot of the passing and the shooting and all that sort of stuff. And that, I think maybe for some people that's way more fun than what rematch is, because rematch is just like, no, you actually have to like kind of manually do these things. Like you've got to bring the ball under control, and when you pass, for the most part, you have to physically aim where you want to pass, and then same for shooting and all of this sort of stuff. And then it's got like all these other mechanics in there as well. But I found after the like initial 2 hours of trying to eradicate stuff like FIFA from my muscle memory and just like taking rematch for what it is, I was like, oh, okay, I'm actually really, really enjoying this. It's not perfect by any means, and I think there's like stuff they need to work out. So like some of the animation blending can be a bit difficult sometimes, and I think sometimes it's a bit inconsistent as to how it treats the ball and your interaction with it, and that can be a bit frustrating. But I found it really fun. But you're going to tell me why I'm completely wrong, I'm sure.
Definitely not going to tell you why you're completely wrong. You're very entitled to your opinion on it. There's things that it does well, and things that are quite challenging to get right that it does get right. In that, I think when you're on the ball, it's mostly very good. Like you mentioned, the free passing and the free shooting. Essentially, if you tap the X button to lay off a pass, you can pass in any direction quite freely, but it is 100% analog aiming, so you are choosing where you knock that ball, which is a nice mechanic. I like that in a football game. If you want to shoot, that's with the right trigger, and it's essentially using almost like third-person shooting mechanics. You've got a crosshair, which like it limits your movement in that you're going to be looking in the way that you're shooting, which actually plays out a lot. Like it's quite intuitive. That's how you'd expect football to be. You're not going to be shooting with your back to goal too often, really. So it works really well in terms of those mechanics, but it's really awkward off the ball, I find. And I'm not sure why they've made certain decisions in the way that you play off the ball, because rather than being able to use your player's weight and body to clatter through anything and everything, it's really particular with its tackling mechanics. Like it just uses the shiny part of your foot, and I find it really awkward to do anything defensively in the game. That took away a lot of the fun, because you obviously spend quite a lot of time not having the ball. And with the way that everything else is freeform, in the way that like when you're on the ball, you can pass it so freely, you can shoot so freely. It just feels like you should be able to clatter freely as well, just to like get that final piece of the puzzle and chaos in there, and to encourage people to try and find a bit of space away from other bodies and things like that. I think it would play out really nicely if the defense wasn't awkward in your hands. But it's really, really difficult in a football game to balance goalkeeping against shooting, to make sure that that's a fun experience on both sides of it. And rematch, when you're in goal, feels a lot better than when you're defending on the pitch. Like I quite like being in goal in rematch. You do have more of a physicality. You can use your whole body. Everything's a lot more sticky to give you that chance of saving things, and it feels a lot better. Still not exactly physics driven. Like the ball pretty much sticks to you most of the time, but it feels better. And yet strikers still have a pretty good chance to score, and I feel like they've got that about right, which is not that easy to do. But yeah, I just don't like defending in that game. And it's like, I would like defending. I like football in general, and I like the smaller scale, like the 3-4-5 aside. It keeps you far more involved rather than doing FIFA's Pro mode, where if you were to play like 11 against 11, if you play it properly, that's quite a big space. So I don't know. It's got a lot right, but it's just nowhere near as intuitive and pure as Rocket League.
I actually quite like the defending in the game, if only because, I mean, you have like defensive stance, right, which kind of faces you to the ball, or like front facing as you would do. But I think because it has this absence of like physicality in a lot of what you do, it focuses you more to do the things that you would have to do in real life, which is pay attention to position, like be very positionally aware of people, like where they are and where they're going to be and where they're moving. And like using defensive stance to kind of track players and then knowing when to press on the ball and when to not. So I really like that element because it's more of a FIFA, for example, like you never had to really care about that. I mean, you do to some extent, but actually it's just, about snapping to players as quickly as possible and trying to batter them like without giving away a foul. Obviously you can't foul in this. But I like that this kind of focuses your mind on actually, the kind of the concentration side of football, which is, like being positionally aware. So I'm a fan of that. It's certainly nowhere near as fun defending as it is like attacking or being a goalkeeper. But yeah, I'm like a fan of it. But it's, I think there are things they could do to fine tune it anyway. One thing I actually don't like is that I actually found the more I've played it, I think because of how sticky the ball is to goalkeepers, I think sometimes it can actually be really difficult as a striker. Oh, like not as a striker, but just shooting generally, because there's only so much you can do with the ball in terms of like, being able to move the ball in certain ways. Like you can't drive the ball in that game very well. You can only sort of kind of float it along and hit it relatively strongly, but not, you can't like low drive it across the ground, or if you can, it's very difficult to do. I'd quite like them, and this would be make it more difficult for goalkeepers, but I actually don't mind that, like to have like a bit more mechanical control around shots and like be able to do like different things with those, and maybe have the physics of the ball react a bit differently in certain situations. But it's a beta, so they've got, I think it comes out July maybe, so they've got time to keep tuning it. And actually
June. But...
Is it June? But I mean, from the last beta, they did actually change quite a lot, I found. So a lot, really tidied up a lot of certain mechanics, animations, etc. So I think there's still work they can do to make it better, Maybe not to make it so that you'd enjoy it, but to make the experience better.
For me,
it looks like it's going to be really successful anyway for them. So.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Well, for me, I'd like to take the dribbling skills out completely. I hate those. I'd rather everything was more physics, more chaos, and I think that would encourage the positional awareness more so than stupid flicks and tricks. And as a defender, just impact everywhere. That would be more fun to me. But, it's not terrible. I'm not trying to hate on it overly. It's just, I hate it. No, I don't hate it. We'll play it some more when it comes out. It's coming out on Game Pass as well, so it'll be nice, and it'll get a big launch just by virtue of people actually being able to play it without worrying too much. So we'll give it another go when it comes out in June. June 19th, says Demon Hunter, and he would know because he loves the game like you do. So does Gamzly. It's just me, actually. I think I'm the only one that's looking at this game going, I don't enjoy this properly. So, skill issue, I shall improve. Let's talk about Nightreigns. You haven't played it. Why haven't you played it? Do you hate Elden Ring?
No, I think Elden Ring's great. I just don't know if I really want to play a multiplayer Souls game. I think that's the issue. And then the reviews hit, and it was kind of good, good, well received, but not, people weren't blown away. Yeah. I think on mass, yeah. So I'm kind of like, I think I will probably pick it up. But how have you found the bits that you've played?
So the bits that I've played have been very little. I did the tutorial and I died in the tutorial, and that's about as far as I got because I put a call out for people to play with and there was nobody there. I'm not playing a game like that with randoms and strangers, so I had to put it on hold and wait for an opportunity to get with some people that I like and blast through a little bit. It looks like Elden Ring. It performs absolutely fine on my PC. I'd heard people having issues on high-end PCs with it, that it wasn't performing like it should, but I didn't have any trouble whatsoever. Unlike Elden Ring, the HDR actually works, so that's a nice little improvement. It's weird playing these predefined characters, and the concept of a roguelike with like 30-40 minute runs isn't really my bag anyway. I'm slightly concerned because I haven't finished Elden Ring, right? I've got like a tiny bit more to go on Elden Ring before I get to the end of it. This plays like Elden Ring, except you can jump and clamber up walls, and it's got a different sprint function, and there's some slight differences in the way that like the arts and things work. So it's probably going to ruin my chances of playing Elden Ring, because I'll jump on that next week and try and press the wrong button to sprint, jump into a wall, get hit in the back. That's how I play Elden Ring anyway. It will make no difference to anything. It's an interesting little game though, but obviously I need to do a proper run with some people and see. Well, actually, I need to do really multiple runs to kind of see if it has any hooks that are gonna keep me and make me want to do another run. If those runs have some variety. I was listening to ACG's podcast yesterday, and they were saying that in their first day, in their first kind of 10 runs, they were noticing a lot of repetition, like very little variety between the runs that they'd done. So that's a concern for me, because I will fall off pretty quickly if I'm just feeling like I'm repeating for the sake of repeating. There's too many games to play to be doing the same thing over and over. So, but I'll give it a go, and we'll try and talk about that some more next week when I've had a little bit more time with it. Game with Passion, the dev said that they're going to balance it for single player. It's the second game. Yeah, I don't want to play it single player though. It's still a roguelike, right? It's still not an Elden Ring. So I bought it for the 3-player co-op element pretty much exclusively. It doesn't really appeal as a single player game, more so than a co-op game. But Gamzly, I know I already jump into walls, I jump off cliffs. It's entertainment for the stream. I'm actually really skillful. So that's probably enough of Nightreigns. Blasted through that nice and quick. If you got questions, by the way, get them in. But we are doing a speed show today, so it might be really short. Let's talk about the next big topic of the week. Let's talk about... We'll do the Xbox handheld first, or lack of Xbox handheld. So Jez Corden broke the story pretty confidently. So we take it as fact that Xbox had an Xbox handheld in development, a portable Xbox device. I think they even said that publicly, that it was in the works. They have now shelved it, at least for the time being. I know Demon Hunter Rematch isn't the best, but thank you for the 15 months of membership and terrible opinions. What was I talking about? Xbox handheld, not happening anymore. Talk is they want to refocus on getting their Windows handhelds up to snuff. And the Xbox One, for whatever reason, has been sidelined. Luke, would you have bought an Xbox handheld? Is it the right decision for Microsoft to get rid of it? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's I was excited for this, and like it hasn't been cancelled, but it has been sidelined. So, my thoughts on it are mixed, but mostly disappointed, I'd say. And I think I'm disappointed because I think it's the right decision to work out the software side of it first in terms of what that looks like on an Xbox handheld, because Microsoft have a ton of work to do anyway in terms of gaming on Windows 11 and resource management on Windows 11 for low power devices, and the automation of that sort of stuff, i.e., Windows recognizing something's a low power device, and the Xbox app, and they need to create a proper front end for interacting with a handheld like SteamOS. Like there's tons of stuff they need to do. What annoys me is that the majority of that stuff, so things like Windows 11 gaming, etc., people have complained about this for years and years and years and years with Microsoft. They have known that it's an issue, and it feels to me like they've just kicked the can down the road multiple times and just gone, well, it's too difficult. Like, it's really, there's lots of stuff we need to think about, lots of things we need to do. We're not that bothered. And clearly it's got to a point where they've got, they're thinking about next gen, their console, but also this handheld, and gone, okay, actually, we really have to address this now. And what annoys me more about that is that it's Microsoft. So it's not as if they don't have the resource or time to have been working on this for some time before now. And so I think whilst it is the right decision to delay the handheld, I'm just kind of shocked that this wasn't recognized beforehand, way back when they floated the idea of a handheld. And it's disappointing to me that they let it get as far as officially confirming that that's something they're working on, and then to just kind of step away from it and go, actually, we've got a lot of work to do, so let's put that on ice for now. So I think that's what annoys me about it more than anything. It's, just that the management of that process has not been very good from the outside looking in, at least.
Yeah.
So I think they'll still make one. I think they're committed to making one. And I suspect in terms of a hardware spec, they probably know what they're going to build, but clearly they're just not in a position on the software side to release it, because I think people will crucify them if they release something that just had a bunch of issues. And they've got stiff competition in this area now with SteamOS in particular, which is an incredibly performant piece of software. So yeah, annoyed basically, but I get it, but still annoyed.
So I'm not really generally a massive portable gamer anyway, so I can't really say I've taken this on the chin and feel that bad about it. But I do feel that PC handheld devices and Windows handheld devices are not a substitute for a console experience on a handheld. Broadly, you can carry that forwards to like the PC space. A lot of people say you only need a PC, you don't need a console or whatever else, but consoles still do have a place for me. And to be honest, the main reason that I like PC is because of how far you can punch above the weight of a console, how much you can go in excess of it. I don't see that being like, I don't see that same appeal in a handheld space. You've got flexibility for things like emulation and stuff like that would give a PC handheld massive appeal. But the other day on my PC, on the Microsoft app, I downloaded Forza Motorsport, which was 126 gig or something. So that was an overnight download for me. I've not got a brilliant connection. And then when we came to play it on the Community Games Day, I went to launch it and it said, something's gone wrong. We can't find it. Excuse me? Excuse me?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and I had to uninstall and reset the app, the store, the Xbox app, all the rest of it, go and delete some caches somewhere and all the rest of it, because every time I tried to go onto Forza, I'd be like, it is installed, can you do the repair? And it would say, something's gone wrong on our end, sorry. Something's gone wrong on our end, sorry. This isn't okay as an experience. Like, that's not the experience that I want from a handheld. I would much rather have a console experience where I go, hey, here's a game, I've got Game Pass, I'm going to go and play it. And you can say that a PC can do that. Sometimes it can, but it's not a substitute for that streamlined, dedicated experience. And you can say in the console space in general, we don't know what's happening with Microsoft's next hardware. They kind of sound like they're moving away from that experience anyway. If the talk is true of Steam and Epic and all of these kind of things coming to it and it essentially being a Windows console box, then maybe we're going to lose some of that on that side. But yeah, I like an Xbox Portable was more appealing to me than the various Lenovo, Asus kind of partner handhelds that they're putting out. So hopefully they'll revisit it, but it's no great loss for me because I don't really play handhelds, except maybe I might have a go on a Switch 2, which is a console, which comes out next week on Thursday. Are you excited? What's going to be the first thing that you play on your Switch 2?
I guess it'd be Mario Kart, I guess. Yeah, I am excited. I'm looking forward to this a lot, actually, because there's not quite as many as you, but I do have a few games that I've been holding off playing on Switch. Incidentally, only one of these is going to get updated for Switch 2, which annoys me a little bit. Yeah, I've been holding off on playing Pikmin 4 and also Echoes of Wisdom. Echoes of Wisdom is going to get a free update for Switch 2, which is interesting. Pikmin 4 is still not confirmed to get any update, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, I'll play Mario Kart day one. I also want to get Fast Fusion. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's Shinen, who makes like these really bonkers technical games in terms of like really impressive looking games, and it's a bit like an F-Zero Wipeout-y type game. It looks really, really good. They released Fast RMX for Switch, which that launched with the Switch, and that was sort of a visual showcase for the Switch. It was really impressive, still very impressive to this day, and Fast Fusion's a sequel to that. So I'll get that as well. I may dabble in the Zelda updates, although I think I'll probably just get the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass thing, because you get it free with that. So you get those Zelda updates included for free. You don't have to pay for them. I'll do a bit of GameCubing if I get the expansion pass as well, maybe some Wind Waker. So like I'm really excited, but the main one for me is next month, because that's when Donkey Kong comes out. But I'm looking forward to play. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it actually. Just because it's a lot bigger. I suspect ergonomically, because it's bigger ergonomically, it will be a bit better. I'm still not convinced it'll be that comfortable to hold, because it still doesn't have grips, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to dive straight into Mario Kart. We're going to do that on Community Games on Friday. So hopefully some people will have had their Switches arrived by then. If you've got yours, you should turn up as well and play some Mario Kart World.
Yeah.
But I'm going to launch it. I'm going to go to the character selection thing. I'm going to acknowledge that I hate all of these characters, apart from my me. And I've not seen any confirmation that I get to be that guy at the moment. I need to be that guy.
I don't think he's that. I don't think that the me's have been taken out back.
They can't. They have to carry them forwards. My me guy is like, he's so miserable and tired looking. And it's the best representation that I've managed to come of myself, like in any game. The most simplistic character creator. You can have these really complicated ones with 100 sliders for like nipple angle, and I cannot make myself properly in these kind of games. But you give me the me, and it's got this like set of stupid faces, tired and miserable.
They do have a lot of personality. Yeah, they do have a lot of personality.
Yeah. So if I can't play as him, I'm going to be well disappointed, and the Switch 2 can go in the bin. Because I'm not being Mario. Not literally. I'm looking forward to
actually not literally in the bin. But I'm looking forward to like finally being able to blow a Switch up on a big screen and have it not look like shit. Do you know what I mean? Like Mario Kart will be like 1440p. Oh, it is 1440p. So it will actually look pretty respectable. On a massive, on a big screen, a big 4K TV. So that will be a real novelty, but long may it continue, because that's something that the Switch does very, very poorly. And it'll have HDR. Like, I can't believe we're going to get HDR, Asa, on a Nintendo system if it works. So
that's I'm absolutely with you on that for the longest time. That's why I haven't played so many of the Switch games, because I don't play portable, and it's on a nice TV, it's just been inadequate. And it's a weird thing to say, because I can quite happily stick a Dreamcast or a Saturn on there and play ancient stuff and appreciate them for what they are. But it's like, come on, I want this one to look more crisp and pretty. It's new. And Nintendo, to be fair, like their own games, they did a reasonable job art style wise of getting the best out of it. But now, yes, it will be a little bit more up to an acceptable standard for the in your face TV. So yeah, I want to do that. I want to play Mario Kart. I was going to play Metroid Prime 4 because Amin told me confidently that it was coming out on launch day, and it turns out it's not coming out for ages. So I'm not going to. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not going to play that on launch day. I'll have to wait until it actually comes out. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, both on the list, but I don't know. I've got loads to explore.
Definitely play those. Definitely play those. You'll get. I mean, they were great even at 720p and 30 FPS. So now that they're 60 and 1440p/4K, that'll be really.
That's a defeat though, because I've waited all this time for Breath of the Wild to go on a good sale. That's why I haven't played it yet. It's not just the performance and stuff. I say I want this game to go on sale. I've been waiting, and it's Nintendo, so
they don't go on sale.
I know, but do I admit defeat and get a hold of it? It's just.
Well, I think it's the best time, isn't it? Because at least now they're like technically very performant. So
yeah,
I'm sure you could find somewhere that has a bit more of a sale on.
I'll justify it to myself and pretend I wasn't defeated in some way. Like find some stupid excuse as to why I had to cave in. Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you going to get the Nintendo Switch 2 welcome tour? Is that day one?
Do you know what? Yes. It looks like the worst thing, and the actual answer is no. But I felt like saying yes. Are you going to have it as a collector's item? Are you going to pick it up?
No, I don't think No, I'm not. Not even for whatever it is, £7. I'd rather keep £7 pays for half of Fast Fusion, right? And that's a game that's actually worth buying. So yeah,
I don't know. Thank you. Thinking maybe I just get it as a false sign of support so that Nintendo keep making stuff like that.
Well, they are struggling, so if you could support them through buying Welcome Tour, I'm sure
let them know. This is what your fans want. More. Let's have a Welcome Tour too when you can.
More Welcome Tour.
Yeah, that's the worst looking thing. So no, not so much. That's it. What else is there to talk about? GeForce Now. That's on handhelds. GeForce Now as an official app on Steam Deck. Is that the place to play? Does cloud gaming work with portable devices? Are you going to give it a go?
I might actually give that a go, yeah, because actually at least GeForce Now Ultimate is super impressive. I found that really impressive. I took that and played that on an iPad late last year, and I played Dragon Age Veilguard, and as genuinely and it's not an optimal experience for iPad either because it's Apple, and so you have to go through like click the link and then it boots up and all that stuff. It's not like a native app there, but it was still a really nice experience, and it wasn't even on the best Wi-Fi. It was pretty good Wi-Fi, but it wasn't the best. So I like the idea of Steam Deck having like a native app that actually benefits the system. So I will give it a go, I think, and I'll probably sign back up for GeForce Now when I go on holiday or something, because obviously that's the optimal time to I'm not going to use it other than when I'm traveling. So yeah, I'll give that a go. And the impressions of it that I read seem very positive. It seems like a very good app. So, and it's given the Steam Deck a bit of a new lease of life, so to speak, at least on the high end, like AAA front. So
yeah, I think for me, so I am also really impressed by GeForce Now. I reckon even probably the normal tier would be okay on a Steam Deck, or the screen being so small. But typically, it is a fantastically performant service. The closest thing that you can get to playing natively, like leaps and bounds above the other cloud services that I've tried. My issue with it, it's not an issue. My issue with the collaboration, though, is that it just wouldn't personally be useful. I'd need really specific circumstances to have a portable device in a scenario where I've got a good connection to play a cloud stream game. And that's that's like the little mismatch, because you had Lenovo had a dedicated like streaming device that they did, and PlayStation do with the remote thing, but it limits the use case to where I wouldn't want to use it typically. So I think it's probably great for some people that use their Steam Deck. I don't know, maybe they're in an office and they've got a brilliant internet connection, or whatever else, wherever they use it. Maybe they like to use it on their couch at home. So it's good for that scenario, but I don't ever see myself in that scenario. So
yeah,
there we go. It's a thing that's happening though. Is there anything else? Oh, you know what? Yoshida said some things that turned some heads. Let's have a little go over that before we get to our community questions, which I'm not sure if we have any or not. I'll have a look in a minute. He has said some things about Game Pass that got people riled up in the ways that people get riled up sometimes. He said that Game Pass might be bad long term for the industry because it gives big corporations too much control over creative endeavors, what people can successfully finance and make. Did you see the quote? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I broadly saw it. Yeah.
Was there any merit to it? Is he console warring? Should people be upset? What's happening?
I don't think people should be upset. It's just Shuei Ishida's opinion on stuff, having been an executive in the industry and really having been an executive for a company that doesn't particularly like the idea, the concept of Game Pass, right? Obviously they have PS Plus, but it's not quite the same in terms of offering. I think the overarching point he made, where he said something like, if the only way for people to play is through subscriptions, he didn't like that and thought that was dangerous, because then whoever provides a subscription service is the one that dictates what games come onto it, and therefore kind of dictates the state of the industry almost, if we lived in a world where it's only subscriptions, right? I don't think that's particularly controversial. Obviously that's not the world that we live in. We live in a world where actually games have lots of different delivery mechanisms. Subscriptions are one of them, but there's just standard buying of games and publishers and etc. So I didn't find it particularly controversial. Disagree kind of with some of the messages that he said, but the overarching one of like a hypothetical, well, maybe if the world was run by gaming subscriptions, would we like that? I don't think people would like that. Obviously, I don't think that would be a good thing, but obviously it's not the world we live in. So
no, it's one of those things where you see it on the Xbox as an ecosystem at the moment. Game Pass is great for us as consumers and great for the developers that get their games in there. And yeah, it probably does make things quite hard for the developers that don't get their game in there. If you're releasing an indie game on the Xbox platform at the moment and it's not on Game Pass, it probably is fairly difficult to get attention and stuff. But in terms of scale and kind of the trajectory of the industry, with even if Microsoft wanted it to go in that direction, it hasn't really.
Yeah.
So at the moment, it is just a big, very diverse landscape of opportunity for different paths to publish and develop and distribute games. So exactly. And there's no one size fits all, right, for the industry. Like for many developers and publishers, Game Pass, getting room with Microsoft and getting them to put your game on Game Pass and to foot the cost of your development or whatever. It, or a big chunk of it at least, is going to make a lot of sense, and for others it won't, to put it on a subscription service. So I think that's the beauty of where the current gaming landscape is, that there is not one dominant form of distribution method, right? There's lots of different ways, and the consumer has the choice. So it's a bit of a... It's also like the subscription services as this big threat to gaming, though, is like it's like a slightly toned down version of free to play games being this big threat to the industry, because everything that you say about the subscription service and the domination there, like free to play games were also crushing opportunities for other people, and have done to an extent. It's not a completely invalid complaint, but there's always been concerns that the corporate greed is going to rock the boat too much, disrupt the industry in a bad way, turn everything into microtransaction hell. And to some degree that happens, but if you look around, it's just such a broad landscape that there are still good things going on. So that's that one covered. Let's do... Can you think of anything else that we should be talking about before the questions?
Nothing springs to mind now, apart from how bad those dragon sections are in Doom again.
I don't like the turrets either. They pass by quickly, but they're not good.
Yeah. Oh, they're only brief, so I'll let them slide.
Okay, good. Right, I need to figure out how to do questions. So, the first question is ready to go. Except I've pressed the wrong button. Here it is. Dave Mack has asked, Asa, am I gonna buy Dave Mack a Switch too, as it's his birthday tomorrow? Remember that I'm on stream and everyone will think less of me if I say no. Dave Mack, opinion on me can't go much lower, so I'm going to boldly, confidently say no. I'm not going to buy you a Switch 2 tomorrow, but I'm going to wish you a happy birthday. Hope you have a great day with whatever it is that you're doing.
Happy birthday.
Luke, on the other hand, may step in and offer you a Switch 2. Luke?
I will offer you a Switch 2 in spirit, for sure.
There we go. Oh, come on, show me the questions. I'm having some technical difficulties. Bear with me for a second. I'm going to pop this out. Make it long. Scrolling here. Right, next question. We don't have loads of questions, so blast it. Next question is from Pete, and he says, should we tell Isla that she was missed tonight or let her enjoy her wedding in peace? After all, we know she will be peeping. I'm not so sure she will, Pete. I don't think we get much sway over whether she enjoys the wedding or not, but you can say what you want when she returns, whenever that may be. But we're doing fine, right? I'm handling these questions like a pro. Luke, this is professional enough for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah. Smashing through them.
Thank you, Pete. Next one is from Amin, Gaming with Passion. The betrayer who gave me the wrong Metroid Prime date. He says, Summer Game Fest, Xbox Showcase and other showcases are happening next week. Mention at least 4 things that you want to see. Are they next week? Is that true?
Yep, the Summer Games Fest is Friday and then the Xbox Showcase is Sunday.
Fuck.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, you've just listed 2 things that I want to see.
Oh, no, not Friday. It's Thursday. I think Summer Game Fest. I think it's Thursday.
Switch 2 day.
I could be wrong. Yeah, I think it's Switch 2 day. I could be. Maybe I'm wrong. It's Thursday or Friday. Let me have a look.
Okay. Yeah, he's going to have a look at that and I'm going to have a think. So I want to see... I don't bloody know. I want them all to call it off and say, actually, you got enough to play.
It's Friday.
Have a rest. We're going to have a rest. We're going to stop releasing things for a little while until Asa catches up. And then we'll resume scheduled gaming. What are you looking forward to, Luke?
Oh, man. 4 things I want to see. It's quite difficult. Resident Evil 9. I'd like to see that announced. Been a lot of rumors about that. About time. More Resident Evil. And we keep getting further away from Resident Evil 6, so we can purge that from our memory as well.
No, we're not that far away from it. We've still got like at least another week of it.
But no, we're getting further away. And then Gears of War E-Day, I really want to see gameplay, like a gameplay sequence. Let's see. I'd love a Halo Combat Evolved remake announcement. Really would like to see that. And I don't know if this will appear on Friday, but I'd love to see what Sony Santa Monica are making next for their next game, their new IP. So those are the 4 that I'd really want.
That's the same 4 as me. Exactly the same 4.
Fancy that.
I'm not good at that kind of stuff. There's going to be shitloads, right? There's going to be some surprises that come in this year as well. Like,
Yep.
So something to look forward to for everyone, and we'll talk about it more in depth next week when some of it will have already happened and some of it will be right on the verge of happening, and we'll be playing Mario Kart. So next question is from Chronic. It says, do you think that Amin should play Elden Ring against his wishes? No, Chronic. I think Amin should change his mind, get better taste, and play Elden Ring willfully. He should embrace it.
Does it mean not like Souls games or Elden Ring specifically?
He typically doesn't like fantasy games.
Oh, for God. That's terrible, isn't it?
It is terrible.
It's just awful. But you know what? Fair. I don't want him to play it against his wishes. You know, he should play what he enjoys, even if that's garbage.
He should. Right, next one's coming up. Dave Mack is just bitter because I said I wouldn't get him a Switch. I did wish you a happy birthday. I still wish you a happy birthday despite this. He says, are those headphones oversized or do you have a tiny head? I have a tiny head.
Both.
No, these are perfectly adequately sized for a normal sized head. I have a tiny head.
They're also big. The Max
No, they are big. Yeah, they're quite big and quite heavy. This is true. Yeah. Luke knows. Why am I getting picked on? Your headphones are bigger, or your head is smaller.
They're definitely bigger. They're not as heavy. They're not as heavy though. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. Who knows? Really. It's all a matter of perception, isn't it? But no, these are not as heavy, but they are bigger. Definitely bigger.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Dave. Bosh, that was the last question, so we've done it. Massive success, and yeah, I think we'll wrap up nice and early today. So excellent, Luke. Thanks for coming on and carrying a conversation. Thank you everybody that's come along and listened to us. You say what you want to say to people.
Yeah, pleasure as always. Looking forward to next week. Tons of really great gaming stuff happening, including the Switch. And then all the juicy showcases. So I'm sure next week's show will also be very good because that will be post Switch and post Summer Game Fest.
Yes, so unlikely that next week's one will be a short one, right?
Yeah, it would be weird if it was. So yeah, and then Sunday, obviously Xbox, and I think Sunday is the Death Stranding 2 gameplay demonstration, which is clearly the demonstrably high point element of Summer Game Fest in general. So apart from that, go on the Discord. Well, I'm sure people will be talking about it and saying how great Mario Kart is.
Yes, I'm sure there will be lots of conversations on everything going on in the Discord server. So if you like talking about games and things, then get in there. It's a much better place to do it than social media, I'll tell you that much. That is the end of it. I'm going to press the button. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.